Today, I'm bringing you 5 drum processing tips in 5 seconds. Awesome, I hope you learned something and I'll catch you in the next video. Scratch that, let's do 5 drum processing tips in 5 minutes. Now, before we hop into it, for those who don't know, my name is Zach Edward. I'm a teacher here at Cosmic Academy. We have an artist development program that's been around for about 10 years, and we've worked with 500 plus students. Now, the results they've had are pretty remarkable. They signed to some of the biggest labels like Toolrom, Spinnin, Anjuna, Armada. They play some of the biggest shows and festivals like EDC and Ultra. And the point of this YouTube channel is to provide you with some free content where hopefully you could reap the rewards and have some results for yourself. So without further ado, today's video is 5 drum processing tips in 5 minutes. Let's go. For the first tip, we're talking about tuning your drums, specifically when you work with tonal elements like these toms. All right, now working with drums, there are going to be tonal layers, things like toms, percussion, where there is an actual note association to the sample. So as you can see, by using a tuner plugin, I can figure out which note each of these tom hits are playing, and then I could pitch them to the actual key that I'm working in, so it sounds like it's fitting the rest of the musical information in my track. All right, now for tip number 2, we are talking about the like button. By clicking this like button, your drums will sound 47% better. Now, if you also hit the subscribe button, we can increase that to 100%. So do it right now. The second tip is actually going to be talking about velocity. So listen to the shakers I currently have. Sounds very flat, right? There's no movement to them. So what we could do is we could open up our velocity control. Every DAW has this. What it's going to allow us to do is create differences within each hit of the performance. Specifically, in this case, it's going to be the volume. But notice how we can get different rhythms and grooves by doing so. This has so much more life and feeling and movement to it. So you're going to see there's numbers 1, 2, and 3. Number 1 has no velocity change. Number 2 and 3 do have it, but I want you to just hear some variations and hear the rhythm and groove it can create by adjusting this parameter. For a bonus one, you could also do this with other instruments. Here's an example of a snare drum in a build-up. For the third tip, we're talking about swing and groove, and let's look at the same shaker we had before. Now this will be dependent on the DAW you're using, but locate where they have the different swings and groove pools. For Ableton, it's on the left side over here. And I'm gonna choose just a 16th note swing because that's what the shakers are doing. And what you'll notice is it starts to give this galloping sound. Almost similar to like what we were doing with velocity, but instead of a volume difference, it's volume and time. Notice that the 2nd and 4th 16th note get pushed slightly back when the swing is enabled. And you could hear it adds a little rhythm and groove. For tip number 4, we are talking parallel compression, and this is a really cool one. Now you might want to use a better pair of headphones or speakers to hear this because it is subtle. This is not a game-changing technique, but it adds a little bit extra to your drum. So in this case, listen to the on versus off. probably noticed the parallel compressed drums sound a little bit louder. Now think of this almost as a sound design technique rather than mixing. We can achieve a compression sound that you just can't get from over compressing an original signal. So by having our signal split on two chains, dry versus wet, I could mix in this over compressed version to add perceived loudness without adding extra peak volume. Now, because we're doing it on the drums, you want to make sure you use a very fast attack time so that we're not doubling transients. The release is going to be more of a flavor knob. Faster release is more aggressive, slower release will be a little bit more smoother. Also notice the metering. The parallel compressed version is technically quieter on our peak volume meter, but it sounds louder. That is pretty cool. For the fifth and final tip, I want to talk about fading tails to create a tighter drum kit. As I play this back, you'll notice the white drums are the original samples I started with. The green ones are the ones I've cleaned up and faded. Don't ever just assume that the drum samples you use are good as is. It's never the case. It's on you to be able to make them fit your needs. Now, if you want punchy drums, you need to shape them to be punchy. A lot of times samples and presets are going to come longer than you'd like because they sound better on their own when they have that nice tail. That's not our goal though. Our goal is to make all of these work together. And usually when you have that many long tails, you deal with overlap, frequency masking, and that sort of thing. So by tightening up some of these sounds, I could do it by ear and get just the proper separation between my sounds, the proper dynamics between my sounds, and give me a much better overall sound from the drum kit. All right, that's it for my 5 tips today. If you did find value in this, give us a thumbs up on this video. Let me know in the comments if you liked it, if you didn't. Also, if you're not subscribing, click that button right now so you don't miss the next video. We're putting these things out pretty much every day. Look forward to catching you in the next one.